Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I am Dr. Mohibullah Wazir, and the topic is the functional components of the spinal nerve. Note, make it clear now. Look, this is the spinal cord inside the vertebral column. It consists of, make it more clear, it consists of this anterior horn cells motor in function, and this posterior or dorsal horn cells sensory in function, and these lateral horn cells sympathetic in function. While this is only in the T1 to L2 segment of the spinal cord, while in L2 and L3 and L4 segment of the spinal, the S2, 3 and S4 segment of spinal cord, in the lateral horn cells are parasympathetic in function. In this way, the functional components of the spinal nerve are: number 1, somatic efferent or motor fibers originate from anterior horn cells, travel in the anterior root, and then it supplies the skeletal muscle fibers, and that's why they are called as somatic efferent or motor fibers. The other functional component is the somatic afferent or sensory fibers that come out from the posterior horn cells and run through the posterior root and posterior root ganglion, and it brings sensation of pain, touch and temperature from the skin, joints, bones, etc., from the body to the spinal cord. And these posterior horn cells are sensory. They have through the interneuron, it have connection with the anterior horn cells, so that if any information brought through the posterior root to the posterior horn cells, it needs immediate action. For example, in reflex arc, then the information is given to the anterior horn cells, and then the action immediate. For example, withdrawal of the hand after pricking by something, or then the information from posterior horn cells are also being taken upward to the ascending tract to the higher center to be thought about, to be conscious associated and made decision. And then the third type of fibers are the visceral efferent. The visceral efferent fibers are autonomic, and these autonomic fibers are sympathetic in thoracic segment, lateral horn, and L1, L2 segment, lateral horn. And these sympathetic fibers coming in the lateral horn come out through the anterior horn, and then they relay in the sympathetic chain, and then the postganglionic fibers are being given to all these spinal nerves. Each spinal nerve then contains postganglionic sympathetic fibers, and their function is that, number 1, vasomotor to the blood vessels, and number 2, it is secretomotor for the sweat glands in the skin. It is motor for the erector pylorus muscle of the skin, and this is the function of the sympathetic fibers over there. And while the parasympathetic, which comes out through the S2, S3 and 4 spinal nerve, these are motor and secretomotor from the pelvic contents as well as from the lower part of the GIT, that is descending colon, and then the segmental colon and anal canal, etc. And in addition to that, there is also visceral afferent fibers, both present in the sympathetic and parasympathetic. They travel, come back again through the posterior root and reaches to the spinal cord, and from the spinal cord then either reflex action or sent upward to the higher center to be thought about it. Thank you very much. There are four components: somatic afferent, somatic efferent, visceral efferent, and visceral afferent. These are the functional components of the spinal nerve. Thank you very much.